The following episode was supposed to be a serious chat about content, but this is what we got.
Stop it! You're flustered him now.
Stop it! Yes! Yes! Keep it rolling! I have just been offended by half of the host of this podcast. You know, as a successful entrepreneur, and this is me telling myself, if I'm watching this, Abish, remember this time code, save it. I should go to a doctor. Plants is podcast. P in podcast is plants only. You know what I mean? These are things that you get with experience, such as mine, which is so vast. I shall run for American presidency next. You can do whatever with it. You don't care, because this is fleeting thoughts. It does not matter. Nothing matters. None of your ideas matter. Nothing matters. See? Subscribe.
Hello and welcome to Your Heart's Content, a show where we try to analyze the parts of content that really matter. We talk to musicians, artists, illustrators, designers, stand-up comics, folks in the business of content, all in a bid to try and understand this space of content a little better and how you could benefit from it. If you have even remotely engaged with the stand-up comedy scene in India, today's guest is going to be someone you have definitely heard of. Abish Mathew is someone who's been doing comedy ever since I remember watching stand-up comedy. What I love about this conversation with Abish is that it is, of course, ridiculously stupid in parts, as you would expect Abish to be, but it's also deeply thoughtful and insightful in terms of his journey of experimenting with various formats, about working with people, about respecting their craft, and building an ecosystem which will propel not only your own dream, but will propel dreams and run households of people you are working with. I feel this conversation was one of the most useful, personally for me, to understand how do people who are already at the top of their craft continually reinvent themselves and keep pushing themselves to do things which are outside their comfort zone. I really hope you enjoy this because we had an absolute blast recording it. Abish, thank you for coming here. And I know that you're a very mature and serious person, right? But I would like to tell you something which we haven't told you about ourselves, our real identities, right? And this may come as a bit of a surprise to you, but he's actually Bade Meow and I am Chote Meow. And since we are recording this in Mahabilla Shahar, I really want to know, are you a part of Dhatui Bille?
All I know is that T-Bone never crashes a plane. I didn't see it in Hindi.
You didn't see it in Hindi?
I saw it only in English.
Oh my God. Okay. What were you doing in Delhi?
Nice. The electric ukulele.
Thank you. Oh, in that case, tell me this. Of
course.
Feel like the last one. Which one is that?
Johnny Quest.
Okay, here's another one.
Popeye the Sailor Man.
Let's do the chorus, yeah.
Okay. Oh, nice. Got it. Okay.
Nice.
But should I do more?
No, it's okay.
And back to you. Attention. Sending it back.
Yeah. Now that the stand-up comedy / attention war has taken
I have seen you. I've seen you through many formats, doing many things, experimental shows, A+K.
Never show your feet, but why not?
Of course you have. You know who I am?
Dude, just want to say this looks like three Gujaratis trying to do Garba, so let's just
yeah.
It does.
One of my favorite performances of yours was one where you did not show your face. It was talent hunt, this was, but Kumar Varun and Rahul Subramaniam essentially won that. Actually, you did show your face. I know exactly which one this was. I've seen you perform a bunch of times, right? Since 2010, 11, whenever. You had this. I forget what the show was, but that is a random Chickaboom won that, and you did this incredible set where you were acting out to your own monologue that you'd recorded. You'd done all this and all that.
I know.
I mean, that to me was physical comedy at. I mean, it was just fantastic. So I mean, I want to tell you how much I enjoyed that. Like, I've told you a number of times about stuff later. We've met, like, I was working at OML when you were recording Son of Abish, for example, and we spoke sometime over there. I was even taking pictures for you, if I remember, at some point of time, because I was working at OML.
I think everyone.
Everyone did, right? Everyone did. Yeah, everyone did everything. But no, I want to speak specifically about that. I don't know if a video of this exists online somewhere, and we might link it if it happens, but just take us through that, how you conceptualize this and how you ended up performing it. Because that was performance, and it really expanded my worldview of what comedy could be.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know. That's a deep cut.
This is part of the YouTube Fan Fest second version that they had done. Kanan and Biswa were hosting. So at that time, all the YouTube comedians, because we have live stage experience, and musicians
and
were
this is long back, right? Like that.
I think around, this is around 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
AIB videos were already out.
Yeah.
So this was for that. So everyone had 5 minutes to do. So SNG came and did improv. Kanan and Kenny and Biswa did a musical piece. So I wanted to also bring something on stage. So first thing I did was visualize myself on that stage. Like, what would it be? Would it be a small club? Then the energy is a little low. And I felt like I want to communicate with what is funny about YouTube. So my brain didn't think like a stand-up comedian. It was just like, what is a funny thing to do?
You thought like a consumer in some ways.
Now I realize I saw it more like a director and an editor than I saw it as a comic. Sure. Because if I'm doing stand-up, it's a live performance. Right. I need to be a comedian, improviser.
You're thinking from mic perspective.
Now I'm looking at the audience in an auditorium, in a stadium, and a giant LED screen. It'd be awesome to do something with the LED screen.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, how to be a YouTuber is the parody at a YouTube event. So I thought it'll be awesome. So Johan Tees, who's a bass player.
Yeah. Who played for Blackstad Blues?
Yeah, then Helga's Fun Castle and Tough on Tobacco.
Oh wow! You're
so Johan is one of my close friends, and he's the reason I moved to Bombay. Him and Tracy were nice enough to give me a house for 6 months to stay with them before I had to get my own place when I was moving from Delhi. So it was at his house when I think I was writing this down, and I knew I needed visuals and music cues. So Chumble helped me design the sound for it. And Mihir, if I'm not wrong,
the animator,
he animated the sequence. And
there we go. He's also animating the opening sequence of this particular
so it's
show.
Same
We've got the AIB team working on this, by the way.
All great people, right? By the end of it, it's about everyone's very talented, but you have no idea how amazing it is to work with amazing people. You always hear talent comes with some arrogance. Here I'm like, I love this bubble of nice people.
Nice, talented people.
Right. So they helped put it together. What I ended up doing is, because after visualizing it, now I need to practice. Because I've written it, it's done the voiceover. The voiceover has gone to the animation so that this gets done. Has gone for music, I think, if there is music, if I'm not wrong. I don't know. Okay, I'm getting confused. But, and then this piece needed to be practiced. Now I had to visualize, of course, like you would as well. If it's a giant screen, I'm a tiny guy. So that's one gag. But one mistake that I did was I thought I'll be close to the LED. And then on the day of the event, they said it's ahead of the LED. Sorry, not the day of the event, a day before. So I had to rearrange some of the shots for that distance perspective.
To make it work,
To make it work. Otherwise, one of the gags was, which we shot at normal also, in a green screen so that I could chroma it out, is a small version of me coming on LED and me talking to that person. As a cool gag to do. What to make it funny? I know something like YouTube could make it funny. It's like a good gag to do. So now that had to drop. We shot it, we edited it, but we dropped it from the main thing. So now the only thing that was required to do was practice. Luckily, Ed Bean, who was the director, had given everybody 10-15 minutes of sound check and everything. Comedians don't have sound check as much. So everyone's extra 5 minutes I took. And then I did it once. Then Ed saw it. He saw it had potential. So he gave me another break and asked me to come back and re-rehearse it. And then I was able to put it. So I think what you got to see at the end of it was like a labor of love of a lot of people who jumped onto hey, I want to try doing this. Everyone was like, oh, it'll be awesome to try doing this. So I think that's how I was like, that's what you saw. Yeah. And I'm so glad you saw that. It's one of the things that I really enjoyed, but it's not something that, is viral.
Yeah.
But it's legacy for these things I'll put in my resume. When I go to heaven, hopefully when they ask, what have you done? Have you seen this video?
No, I love these. I love these kind of deep cuts that some of you guys have. I mean, everyone's seen, I suppose, the popular stuff. But I really have some of these sets or moments like this which are made for that event, or like there are certain things, like I remember Azim opening for Andy Zaltzman, and because that crowd was curated in that very elitist sense, he elevated his game to the level where I don't need to do the usual kind of Bombay Delhi things. I'm going to take it to another level which all of you nerds reading Andy Zaltzman will resonate with. It was great. So yeah, this falls into that category for me.
You should watch that as well.
Okay.
And just see if any of this made sense. And then, and only then put it in the episode. Otherwise, people watching it will be like, two guys spoke about something no one has seen. That is the definition of this podcast.
As long as assuming someone will see this podcast itself is a question we are yet to answer. It becomes a little too meta at this point. Two guys talking about things which no one else has seen, but no one else is seeing this conversation anyways. So
Around the plant. That's how you can put it on Spotify as under.
So talking
podcast.
about how far out this could go, there is a place which is your favorite place in this universe, which is 7,000 light years away, right? And it is
We've done our research.
Amazing. I think I told this to my therapist. How do you know?
He is the therapist.
I am your therapist. I just wear different skins and show up in different places.
I must say,
I'm Ichadhari Nagin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You just don't know that yet.
Stop it.
You've flustered him now.
Stop it. Let go of me.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm glad this was on camera. That place 7,000 light years away is called the Pillar of Creation, right? Tell me one, of course, about that place, whatever you know. But more importantly, I think it gives me a good segue to go into pillars of content creation, where you talked about, this entire thing which you just spoke about is a whole bunch of people just saying, I want to try it. And it comes together, right? Which in my opinion is just one of the pillars of content creation. Just talk to me about that.
Pillars of content creation, or why pillars of creation?
Pillars of creation first.
Okay, guys. I am a huge space fan. Space science, astrophysics fan, but don't have the numbers ability to take that up professionally.
Okay.
So right from a telescope which my friends gifted, because they know how much I love looking at celestial objects. In therapy, one of the things that one of my therapists had once said was, find out the safest space for you. What is the safest space? And since I was a kid, I've always wanted to live in a space shuttle for the rest of my life. Okay. I have always, in the lockdown in 2020 when no one was home, I made my living room my space cabinet, where I took the round dining table as my streaming cockpit. There was a bed on the side and a TV that's always playing some space thing like stars moving around and all, but it needs to be accurate. It cannot be animated. If it is animated, then I lose interest. So thanks to JWST now, all the images that are coming out are amazing for me to keep and still be like, this is the expanse. This is incredible. So there's this, I can be delusional because people around me allow me to be delusional. Where when I shut that room, I'm in my spaceship and it feels like a private space. So now, where do I want to park that spaceship? I chose the pillars of creation because it's just an incredible form that just feels like fingers. But more importantly, I would love to stay here, see something. And when I'm done, I'll go to something else. Then I'll go watch something else. But like mostly the pillars of creation came from, I like to work in a space shuttle.
Wow.
And
This
it's
is
also,
like
also just want to say that
am I coming out as
this
weird?
is a stand-up comedian who says, I don't want to be around anyone. Basically, I just want to do trial shows for myself for the rest of my life.
That would be amazing. no, I love the audience, man. That's but in general, that's where I like that. Maybe that's something for someone to unpack. But pillars of content creation, as a good segue, is you want to know what are the pillars of content creation?
What you think in the work you do?
Okay.
How do you think of content creation as a process?
Sorry, if you want to pause, your copy is here. Yeah, I just thought that might help with the. I just thought that might help with the sagging energy. Sorry, sorry to
With the
sagging energy, which clearly
I have sagging in it.
I don't think so, by the
I
way.
was
This
kind-
person, his problems are too many in life.
oh, this fellow.
You're getting this.
See why he goes to
You're
therapy.
getting this, no? I have just been offended by half of the host of this podcast
Half of the okay,
because he's the other half,
other half. Okay.
right? He has offended me as a guest. You know how insulting
I
it is?
can completely understand.
Listen to me. Look at me. You're the only reasonable man here.
Thank you.
Do you know who I am?
I acknowledge the fact that you know that you are not reasonable at least. That amount of self-awareness you have is amazing, Abish.
What are you, my mom? Stop it.
Ouch.
Give me that damn coffee. Guys, but also, no, please continue.
Sorry.
Do you mind if I can keep the coffee here? and
You
drink?
please continue to drink your coffee through this. We can move this if you
No,
like.
that's fine. But
On the
like
water as well.
brand and all is okay.
Yeah.
Please don't worry about it. We have a good editor.
2 very boring minutes later.
Sound like
Wait, we didn't hear rolling. Oh my
rolling.
god, these guests are such ruckus creators.
Steam rolling.
Cameras rolling? Rolling?
Take two.
Okay, we are back with Abish Mathew, who needed some liquid courage to get through this, which by the way is black coffee. We don't want to make him sound too cool, but we were talking about pillars of.
You have read the generation very wrong. This is actually cool.
Let's diss him, then discuss with him. Welcome to the show.
And on that note, let's talk about pillars of content creation. What are those?
What a segue.
What a segue to talk about how do you think about your content and what is your process like?
Good. I should actually think about my content. That's a good thing.
Oh.
Usually what I'm thinking of.
Considering that you have not uploaded a YouTube video in 11 months,
Yeah.
and you are currently running Abish on stage after ages,
Yeah.
what have you been doing in these 11 months?
You know, as a successful entrepreneur,
Successful?
what have I been doing? Entrepreneur?
That.
It's pronounced how it's spelled. Okay, at least if you study at CBSE. Now, what have I been doing? Actually, Son of Abish, the last season that we did was season 9. And then I've been doing a lot of stand-up these days. Stand-up is where I started with, all of us started with. Then when the content surge happened through YouTube, a lot of our focus and energies went into creating stuff for YouTube, sketches, music videos, Starboys, Son of Abish, whatever.
Journey of a joke, yeah.
Journey of a joke. Whatever for that, you know, it got us a lot of new audience who would buy our tickets, which was awesome. As a stand-up comedian, our final business is live ticket sales. Then I think I'll get to the pillars of creation after I tell you what I've done.
yeah.
Maybe then we're able to figure. What happened really amazing is in that journey of being a solo stand-up comedian on stage with an audience, where you can put your stand-up videos out there or find. I think, fortunately, I took a path which enabled me to work with people. Son of Abish is not a one-person project at all. Like, it is right from an art designer, set designer, executive producer, line producer. It became almost like an expedited MBA course on production for me at the back end, because I was the creator of the show.
Yeah.
I would have liked to come to a show, host, and not do any of this. So I got an expedited learning. So number one pillar, which I think, is the fact that it is a people profession. Even if you're an independent singer-songwriter, there is an ecosystem that's built around you. Your responsibility is to be, if you are your responsibility is to be the reason that their families are taken care of. As opposed to, I'm not paying you a salary for shooting for $15,000 and get away with it, which is the freelance life in Bombay. I think more than a product, I want an ecosystem that I can work with again and again and again. In Son of Abish, everybody was a freelancer, everybody will do multiple projects, but many months before I've given them that I want to do it around October, release around October, so that in case there's Diwali sales happening, maybe we'll get a sponsor. Everybody will finish up their project and then they will come. And not once, not twice, not thrice, 4 seasons, we had the same crew.
Wow.
And all of them have moved up to doing incredible things now. But that is what I feel is the number one pillar why I like doing content. Otherwise, I'm very satisfied just being on stage and entertaining a live audience. Why would I, when I get so much validation and I'm good at it, do anything related to content otherwise? It's because I had such a great time on like, I have an idea and they're like, I will take this idea and push it further. Right from the couch colors, I don't have a decision. Do you think I wore it? No, my wife dressed me. So imagine for chairs and stuff, somebody's taking care of what will look good on the show for us. That kind of ownership, I don't think I've ever felt in any other project. I think that is the first big pillar is the crew. And if you create that, your responsibility now is as a business owner is to generate enough income so that everyone gets paid and not for their payment so that their families are secure. If that's in the back of your head, then you can run an ecosystem. Otherwise, you're looking at my season needs to be best. Our seasons have typographical errors. Our seasons have guest names wrong in the title sequence. Our guests, we have episodes that are released with the wrong. We've done a lot of mistakes, but it's never, according to me at least, it's never been an unsolvable problem. There's this one episode which is one of our angles. The camera got lost because it's a long show. So the gentleman who took out the memory card from our camera, he thought he switched back to another memory card and then formatted so that he can record. But he took it out, got confused, put the same one. So we lost one entire profile of one of our guests. And there was hysteria, there was panic. But when I got to know about it, the first thing that came to my head, I was not pissed off. I was like, okay, do we have a master wide and a mid we can punch in? We'll figure next episode out.
Yeah.
I think that is what I enjoyed at that time, because at that time I'm the decision maker and everyone is afraid of me at that time. I do not like people being afraid of me. What I'm like, whoever did that mistake, make sure that person is in the next project also. Because they learned it. They will make sure this doesn't happen. They will make sure everybody does not do the same mistake. So I think that is what I mean. Like the more people commit mistakes, but they know like, fuck, I fucked it up. And then it means like, okay, you're the right person. This is the mindset I want. And hopefully that is the first strong pillar is the people.
I want to talk about this beautiful thing which you said, right? That you are the creator of the show, but in that sense that you bring everything together, but you are one amongst the many moving parts of that show who hatch out. So for example, for Son of Abish, you hired, let's say, Anirban Dasgupta to write for you, amongst maybe other people as well, right? So going from a creator, going from a stand-up comedian who writes his own stuff to being a creator who gets other comedians on board, right? And of course, there will be creative differences because just how people operate. So how do you navigate that bit also? So one thing is to navigate and build an ecosystem. At the same time, this becomes more personal, saying that I have been writing, humor and comedy for the longest time. And how do I reconcile this? Because ultimately, this is my show.
Anirban Dasgupta, I can tell you an incredible story that'll answer your question. Season 2, Anirban and I were working on Son of Abish, and he wanted to do a parody music video of pre-wedding films. And at that time, I hadn't even heard of pre-wedding films. He's like, we have to do this. This thing is so funny. We have to do. And I was like, there. Again, I was like, no, I'm the creator. What works for me? And what is the best? I don't know. Is it cool? It's not. Is it cool? It's not cool enough. Is it making fun of something? I don't know. I don't want it to be edgy. I had my own fundas and stuff. He said, you have to do this. And I'm like, okay, cool, you do it. Because at that time, Anirban is a stand-up comedian, and on stage we are equal. So if I am saying no right now in the writing room, when I meet him at an open mic at an equal, it'll be very odd because he'll be so funny. So that dynamic of being a stand-up comic immediately made me like, I trust this person's vision because they know I have to do this live.
Yeah.
They know that if it looks bad, they look bad because they can empathize. It's like, if a joke fails, you know what it feels like because you know what a joke feels like. And in that process, he created, and then we all got onto the idea. It wasn't like you do it. No. He took lead on it and he ran the writing room. And it was the most fun writing room. You know how we wrote? We were like, we can't write the lyrics only. We were writing the visuals. So, there is this shot of like when you have this romantic scene where someone always has to put their back against the wall and then, there's a side shot. All of this in the writing room with Uruj and Sumaira, everybody took that idea ahead. Anirban took that idea. He was the creator of the idea. I just approved it. Because for him, this idea is more important than this show. This show happened to be the show he was working on where that great idea came in. So he's a good planter of good ideas. I happen to be that field he was at that point. Happened to be the most viral sketch that we've ever created on Son of Abish. It's there out there. It's pre-wearing video with where I am there, Sumaira is there. Please watch it. It's hilarious. It is. Every time I look at it, it's a humbling moment because I'm like, this is where I did a good job being at a position of power because I wasn't using my power to tell what I want, but I was still out of respect and it totally paid off. So that was my mistake. Imagine if I said no and if I didn't come through, I wouldn't have had that learning moment of like trust others. There might be there might be mistakes. The idea is how to not do it again. That's why ecosystem is more important. It's about the longevity of the project. It'd be awesome if I had everyone on at least employment. Right now, it has to be a seasonal employment. And it would be great to have an ecosystem where everybody has this project to work towards and your own career. That's why we do writing rooms only up till 4 p.m. so that comics can go ahead, have their write and do their show. So, I haven't cracked it yet.
No, but I think the idea of creating an ecosystem is also, I feel, somewhere comes from two things. One is to have confidence in yourself as a creator to say that it's not just about what I create, now what I enable. Right? To say that I am not only, sure, I'm involved in it and I take decisions and everything, but I'm also enabling the next generation of creators through this. And when I say creator, it is everyone from who's writing to who's directing to who's doing video to who's doing editing. That's one part of it. And the second part which I like about it is that you talked about I want to put them on employment in the sense that I want this property or intellectual property, for the lack of a better word, to have longevity. Is the desire for longevity coming from the desire to be able to experiment more freely?
It's the radio philosophy. Back in radio as well, I was in radio from 2008, 9 and 10. 11 or 12 I moved to Bombay. So in radio, the first 3 months that I was there, I was disliked because I was replacing the most popular radio slot because Sarthak, he was going out on a honeymoon and they needed an evening host. So I auditioned for evening, but I had to replace the morning. And the entire campaign was that Sarthak ko bhej diya hai, this new guy has come up. So people
Wow.
The first 3 months of live radio, it's just listening to a lot of people just saying, what is this? We want Sarthak back. And it's the consistency, which I remember Neetu Puri, who was my boss at that time, she said, and Sarthak also said this, he said, it's about how long do you do it? You have to keep doing it again. You're not making a masterpiece each episode.
Yeah.
That is your job. Your job is to keep doing it again. The more mistakes you do, the better it gets. So if I put too much pressure on one episode, I will not have the joy of doing the second day. It's about finding the joy in doing. And cut to 3 years later, if I have to look back, it was crazy. I had faders, I had the It's like the Ableton push, but they have their hotkey triggers. It was awesome with faders live. If a call comes in, it seemed like my spaceship, right?
Yeah.
So that is what I want to recreate. I want to recreate. I want to build a life and not a project. I can do a fiction show, non-fiction show. I'll do stand-up. I'll do your sketch shows. I'll do whatever. I would love to just get to work with friends, put something out, and not think about it. Go to the next one.
We were talking to Roshan Abbas yesterday in our class. He attended a class for our course. And when he was talking to Zakir, and Zakir says something similar, which says, "Har baar to Taj Mahal nahi ban sakta hai." Right? Which is essentially saying that, you can't, of course, push yourself so hard that you want to create a masterpiece every time you work. But the fact of being consistent enough and doing it enough eventually might lead you to your masterpiece. So in that sense, you're also referring to a pillar of content creation about being consistent.
But also, for me, I completely agree with Zakir. He also has the same philosophy. He does so many things as well. Don't go for the masterpiece. And this is me telling myself, if I'm watching this, Abish, remember this time code, save it. Don't go for the masterpiece. Your life is art. Look at the people you're working with and make sure they're having a great time. That's a good day at work. What you release is an energy of the week. At the end of the week. That sounded very weird. Okay, that sounded very weird. I was trying to talk to myself and I immediately started looking at Sony written over the camera and my brain completely lost track. And subconsciously I'm looking at the flower above while maintaining eye contact. I should go to a doctor. Sorry. What was your question?
We are having a great time.
So, by the way, I was totally hooked with what you were saying. Because what you were saying, that your life is art, it massively resonates with me as a person. Otherwise, I would not be spending all my money from my own pocket from my day job to do this particular show. Right? Because I am really interested in the creators, and we both are massively invested in this space. But we talk about consistency, right? To talk about putting it out there and not worrying too much about, what people are saying or what people are doing. Sure, some people will get it, some people will not get it, and you move on. But how do I tell this to someone who is just starting out? Because it works both ways, that you are successful enough to know that this is part of the drill. At the same time, you have a reputation to maintain/protect to say that this guy still does good work. But for someone who's starting out, it's almost like, I put an effort and nothing came of it.
That I think is more beautiful. I think it's more liberating if you have not ever put yourself out, because that's your first your hindrance is always you only. Nobody else is your hindrance, right? The first one is, I need it to be masterpiece, so you won't put anything out there. And let's say you've achieved enough people around, then you have the other thing, like I have to maintain whatever. All of this is just garbage stopping me from working. And what I genuinely mean by working is, the flow state of creating is, everyone keeps talking about it, right? I found out what flow state the word recently when I grew up, but this is something we had while playing sports and while playing like Gargar at home. You really go into a flow state of living in that day
zone.
I am trying to still build a day in such a great way so that at night when I go on stage, it's the best nightcap. I would love to work with friends in day. At night, I like to go on stage. If that is what I want to do, then whether you call it pillars of creation, or whether you call it content, whether you call it live, it does not matter. I want to design a life where I am able to get up, have my own time, practice an instrument, take care of myself physically, work with my friends. That's how it becomes work, because then you're accountable. And then at night, cap it off by going on stage and just messing around for 20 minutes. It'll be amazing if I go on stage for an hour every day where I'm doing stand-up, but allow me to do so much more. Let me give you a great time. That'd be a great day. Now, in the middle of this, I have to figure how to do it. If that is the skeleton of a life I want to build, then it's not about, did I get views on that? It'll be important. But don't worry, your friends are also securing you on that. They will make sure it gets views. They will make sure it gets engagement. They make sure make sure that I sound smart. They sound smart. So that's such a small morsel of what could be a great day because I think another one of my therapists has said, you have the privilege of designing your entire day.
Yeah.
Other people don't have that. Do you know? And ever since that day, I'm just like, oh my God, I can design my life. Because otherwise I've been getting up at 7 and I want to finish everything up and I'll go out to sleep really late just to work. Because earlier someone said, I'm a hardworking person. I took that up. As an imposter syndrome, everyone goes through. I'm like, if I'm hardworking, I will be hardworking. I will make sure I'll be so hardworking. Someone said, you're accountable. I'm like, I'm fucking accountable. I will be accountable. I will account myself on Google Calendar. Google Calendar is my autobiography. I use it so much. Google Calendar allows me to remove my anxiety to know when I'm scheduling my depression. It's like,
Oh, wow.
It's like a nice way of...
Need to let that sink in, but yeah, wow, okay.
We find our processes.
Yeah.
But I like to take one step back and say, what's the point? Because I'm at a privilege where I worked with people like AIB back in the day, with Veer before that, with CJ, saw the advent of stand-up in Delhi. I moved here. I've had a excitingly, amazingly blessed life where other friends and collaborations is the reason I'm on this podcast right now. If I was doing it as a solo performer, I would be something Chuck has seen and he is obsessed over and he's like, this guy is good. But I do have a certain bit of privilege I cannot not refuse. And at that point, I'm like, you are your problem. Back in the day, it was the masterpiece issue.
Yes. Yeah.
Now it is an image issue. And I think if I just take a step back and I'm like, that's why that space thing comes in handy. It's always like, take a step back. Take a step back. It's so much wider. I think subconsciously that enables me to be this all the time. Because I enjoy this person that I am. And hopefully I take this on stage. Everything else is something that your friends, this thing that we're doing, that'll be just that 10% where I will work so hard so that the 90% I can design what I want to. Hopefully.
There are two things that are coming to my mind, and these are two quotes that I've come across in the last few years that has really helped me shape the way I'm thinking about life. I'm in my late 30s and all these existential things are coming to mind. When I spoke to our good mutual friend Rohan a few years back and I interviewed him for a show I was doing at that point of time, he told me something beautiful. I asked him about, again, the AIB days, how did it feel going from, relative obscurity among the Twitterati to interviewing Shah Rukh Khan in such a short period of time. How did that entire bandwagon feel for you? And he said something very beautiful, which was, it was just a blur after blur after blur. Zeros kept getting added to whatever, to all kinds of numbers. And then before you knew it, it was all over and he was forced to get out of it and forced to reflect on his kind of life over then. That's the first time in goodness knows for how long he was able to reflect on what all this meant to him, what his role in going forward was. Well, because you said kind of like the same thing. This is observation / quote number one. The second thing is something that Amit Verma, who runs the Seen and the Unseen, the podcast, he told me once when I had him on for the same series, is he said, many people when they are trying to, suppose you want to be an author, you dream of the outsized day. You dream of the day when you win the Booker Prize or your book is released or this thing, you're mobbed by fans, etc. Sure, but that's just one day. That's the outsized day. Your regular day is going to be a lot of work, a lot of rejection and stuff like that. Move towards a life where you are happy with the average day. Not that you have an average day, but you should move your life towards something and the reason I say this is not a question really, because when you were saying this, both of these things were resonating with me, because what you said was not, I want to, headline Edinburgh, or I want to do this, or I want to win this award, or I want to eventually work with this person, because what you outlined was a beautiful process. I want to get up at this time, I want to work out at this time, I want to work with friends, I want to end it with stand-up. You didn't even say where, what kind of stand-up, what you're going to do. It seemed like that's a beautiful kind of structured yet unstructured, if I may, goal to kind of work towards, and it seems to have come about because of the thing that Rohan said. Not Rohan said this to you, but it came about from that same kind of philosophy. This is not a question. It's more an observation, and whether you agree with that. I mean, you kind of do, because you literally just said it. But the way you're holding that mug makes me think that you're thinking.
No, I'm just thinking. I'm like, it's so nice to hear that others also is the same thing. Yeah. What do you think actually? Because as comics, he has some more context of it. Do you also
I wish you would
look at
stop.
it in a...
I wish you would stop calling me a comic. By the way. But
No, like I'll tell you, what I meant is that your reference points is much
Yeah.
comedy. So as comedy nerds,
Comedy nerds.
So let's put it
Sure.
there. As comedy
Sure.
nerds, I'll be like, but do you think does that see, because you asked for the pillars, one of course being people you work with. I think the second thing now that I'm thinking about it is what life, what day, what week, what month, what year would be nice to have. Is that I don't think that's a pillar for content creation, but I mean that's what got inspired by the question that you asked.
So for me, I like to think of it as one of the things. I think I'm not sure if it was Gulzar Saab or someone who said that कि as you go through life, शामें नहीं कटती लेकिन साल गुजरते चले जाते हैं.
Nice.
Right? So what he's really saying is that you find it hard to be in that moment, right? And your life becomes a collection of so many such moments that years pass by. That's what he's really saying, right? So to me, anyone who's trying to design their life in any way, whatever constraints you are living in, to me, the idea is, and of course, it's a very lofty ideal, but I would like to get there some days to say that if I'm in this moment talking to Abish Mathew, I only want to be thinking and talking about Abish and his work and what he's saying and not think of anything else in my head. To me, that is a rich life. To be able to completely be immersed in the moment you are experiencing at this point and not let other thoughts and ideas and insecurities and fantasies cloud what it is. And one way to do that is either slowing down in life, doing fewer things, or setting the right baseline expectation of satisfaction and happiness for yourself.
Or both.
Or both.
Oh, wow, dude. I don't think I have any of that now that I think of it.
Nobody
this
has.
This would be awesome to do. But like, yeah,
Exactly.
it's so tough to do.
Exactly.
But I think in a way that gives me, when I snap back to reality, oh, there goes gravity, mom spaghetti. Okay. When I snap back, it gives me that sense of like, it's all right. In the long run,
Yeah.
just day after you're going back on stage.
Yeah.
So what this joke tanked today.
Yeah.
But now when you do it on content space, the amount of pressure, if you're a fiction show writer and if you've been sanctioned to write something, 8 episodes, you have to put, it's so much pressure.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll thrive in that environment. But in a non-fiction environment, which is like a talk show, which is simpler, like a podcast, for example,
Yeah.
right? Talk shows, podcasts. It's awesome to experiment different things, but it'll be the same crew that'll keep coming. So next time you can do zany things. Give me a frame and let me bring you a new show every time is a good space that I think is a good, exciting content future for me. Fiction will be a completely new upstart. I think I do have, I know I can act. I like to act, but I'm not trained. So I would love to learn training there. I know I would love to work and learn how to write screenplay. I know I would love to figure how to direct it. I would love to enter that. But I will only do it if I found the people that I had the joy in building non-fiction with. I'm like, oh, this is a high standard of life. If any other format of my skill that I want to develop does not give me that, then I have no interest in entering fiction. I have ambitions, of course. Who doesn't? My ambition, of course, write a film and do all of that. But I'm like, I don't know if I know the right people. If that foundation doesn't exist, I don't see myself moving towards that.
It's like you need a baseline. It's like you need to take the same crew along with you for the
because
experiences
as a stand-up
together.
comedian, it's such an independent profession.
Yeah.
An individual profession. Of course, there's an ecosystem that's behind it, right? From managers to everything. But on stage, and it hits you.
It hits you.
And if it goes, you feel good. It's very up and down.
Yeah.
In like a band, it's slightly more diffused because it's a collective effort.
Yeah.
And I started off with a band on stage before comedy or anything else. So somewhere in the back of my head, I'm still like, I like a band, a crew, and invisible with everybody. It's different that I'm also a popular sanguine and a narcissist, so I want to be on stage. But when I have to be part of the crew, then I really want to do everything because I know you're better at this. So I think now the more I think about it, I think the people is the one big pillar. I'm not able to look at any other pillar.
Actually, there is a pillar I want to talk to you about because It's one of the, I don't know which comedian was it who said this to you in Journey of a Joke, which said that no one quits a stand-up for one bad joke. I don't remember who it was.
Wow, I'm disappointed. I don't remember either.
Right? But
That's okay.
Put it in the comments. Check out Journey of a Joke.
The comedian who said this should
Comedian, put the timestamp, tell me the video, and you win yourself 10,000 rupees from the 6% club. 6% off for your 6% club courses. Available now at 6percentclub.com. Not the percentage sign, the word percentage. 6percentage.club.com.
Okay.
Sorry,
This offer is only for that comedian, right? Just to make
Yeah.
sure, not for any random person, right? Okay.
no, so because when you say that, you need to have a baseline in terms of, I want to do fiction, but I don't know how to write it, or I want to be an actor, I don't know how to do it. But at the same time, it's like taking a punt on any idea, right? Or anything that you will suck at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? And nobody is just going to abandon you because of all the things you did. One thing didn't work out. You're still going to be like, oh, this was great.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? This was great. So to me, that is also it. For example, Journey of a Joker, an example, right? One of the things you said, one of your interviews was, the first thought I had when I was thinking about it was to say, who is going to watch comedians dissecting jokes amongst themselves? Like, ye kya show hai yaar?
Exactly.
But you went ahead and did it?
I still stand by it.
Yeah. But you went ahead and did it, and it got the traction it got. So I'm asking you now as a question that why do you not bring that same attitude / energy into doing fiction or being an actor?
And by the way, before you answer your question, I just want to say that I don't walk around in comedy circles anymore, but people who have watched comedy, etc., Journey of the Joke is one of those cult things that's revered. I'm not saying this just to suck up to you as a guest, but people like, that was an interesting idea / format / I want to see more of that. In fact, once when we, a group of friends were watching one of Biswa's, that I think that pomegranate sketch of his, which you had done the Journey of the Joke of, it very automatically went to, do you remember the time he actually showed that Google Notes where Abish made him talk about, and then we went and saw like, oh my God, the joke is being constructed right here. So I just want to validate that whatever you think of it now or then, it resonated with.
I'm so glad it's the same what you're doing with this podcast, right?
We're trying to figure this out.
Because why? Because both of you are curious people, want to know what can you extract from here. That's what Journey of a Joke is as well.
Yeah.
It is, I am genuinely interested. I am good friends with comedians. I really want to know their process.
Yeah.
They don't know their process, but they explore their process while I'm talking to them. That is Journey of a Joke. Anybody who comes with confidence of this is what I did, this is how I did it, they reflected on it and or are making it up there. Like even this, if you ask me 3 pillars, I said these are my 3 pillars for short form reel content. It wouldn't be authentic unless I have created a course, meditated over it. Journey of a Joke, I have a workshop. It's a comedy writing workshop that I do for every Son of Abish writer. I've done it for anybody who wants. That's something that I do. So I can authoritatively, because I've researched, I've read books and noted from podcasts, citations so that people can check me as well.
Yeah.
So when I'm writing something, I want to write it as a peer researched paper for comedians, for them to review it if they want. But that's how I would like to work at it. So you're similar. Journey of a Joke is just my version of this show. Where I am honestly wanting to know from my comedian friends, how did they do this? Most of the responses is, I don't know. And I'm like, let's find out. That's the premise of the show. Because no one comes and says, I know. They're like, okay, which show did it come up at? Then they're like, yeah, I had one bad show. Then I'm like, bad show. One bad show makes you wipe out lots of terrible jokes, which is a common theme. Wow. So it is not one episode. It's an entire series where I'm like, I see a pattern between all the comics in this way. You will see a pattern in comics who are more performative. You will see a pattern in comics who are less performative. So immediately become slightly better writers because laughter can be generated in so many different forms. Visual comedy for that YouTube Fan Fest, I know is a format of comedy people will laugh at. One-man sketches, impressions, I know people laugh at so many forms of comedy. I am just trying to explore how do they do.
Do you take do you extract, I want to say, meta lessons from other art forms? One of the things I'm very fond of, for example, is because I straddle various kinds of worlds, right? I am professionally working in marketing. I have an interest in comedy. Now I am kind of professionally involved in content in a weird kind of way.
Hey man, you got a Shure SMB mic and a plant. You're a professional
Professional podcaster, fair enough. I hope it's and I love extracting meta lessons that worked from one space and try to apply it to a completely different space. And sometimes the more far removed it seems,
Yeah.
the more interesting it is. Like, I would love to see, okay, this thing worked for a B2B manufacturing plant. Can you apply that same meta lesson to, say, a metal band? Sure, maybe there's a lesson there about how the right collaborators came together at the right time, that kind of thing. I think that way. My brain works that way, and he is sick and tired of me saying the word meta lesson. I want to ask you, as somebody who has different spheres of interest yourself, if nothing else, this comedy and music, and now space that we know of, and you are well read and all that sort of thing as well. Do you also think that way? Do you try to take, this, not just from the world of comedy, because what you said, you can just replace comedy and you can actually say musician. This song tanked, it worked this time, we refined it further, and finally Master of Puppets was written. Whatever, right? Do you also think that way?
Absolutely. I think calling yourself a marketeer, a podcaster, market research expert, a subject matter expert in market research, podcaster, these things I think are a little limiting. Like as a matter of fact, when I did music, then to do radio, then to do stand-up, then to come and do sketches with my friends, then to talk show, hosting, a lot of things that happened to come my way.
Yeah.
If I told myself that no, I am just a stand-up comedian, I think would have been a lesser life.
It's a limiting perspective on yourself.
Yes, and you only do it to yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
You only do it.
And
so
on yourself, and where you could learn from, important.
that's what I meant.
Yeah.
That's what I was coming to. Like, if I wasn't an improviser as a person, I would have said no. Because my brain would have said, how can you? But because my sense of play is strong.
Okay.
And that that's almost like a fire. That's like a childhood fire where you can be silly. And at this age of 37, if you're still being silly, then is that weird for the world? Would have dampened that fire.
Yeah.
I happen to be annoying in my family, in all my cousin sisters, and I happen to take that energy on stage, which turned into comedy. Then craft and hard work, I would want to make it non-puns, not just reliant on performance. I would want to become a good writer. Then from there, working with a group of people, I think personally, all of this is interdisciplinary. Like you said, you can do it for music, you can do it for filmmakers. Journey of a Joke, a big footprint, is non-comedians.
Yeah.
How? I was like, why would anyone watch it? Because I wanted to create it not for me. I wanted to create it for me. I recorded these interviews with the privilege of the friendship that I have. With their consent, put it out. Like, this is how they do it. It's like I could have kept it for my audio notes and listened to it. Now it's just shared with the world.
Yeah.
So the audience came. I didn't create it for the audience.
Yeah.
I created because at that time, in that friendship, in that moment, I have this idea. Can I? Immediately friends are like, yes, of course, I would love to. I'm like, okay, great. I'll bring my mic. I have a camera. Let's shoot. I'll edit. I'll upload.
Yeah.
Once it started going out, the pressure wasn't there. But today, if some brand came up and asked me to make something, it'd be so much pressure because I have to deliver on numbers. So I think even if you remove the brands, if you really have to look at your inner core issue, is that you want it to work. And there's too much pressure for 8 episodes to do. So I still haven't cracked it. It's all interdisciplinary. Carpentry to robotics to, look at the amount of failures just the space shuttles have taken, like for space engineering to get till here.
Yeah.
So if that, they can burn out $70 million and way more at my level, what is my $70 million I'm going to burn?
Beautiful.
Son of Abish is that, where I think, spent so much money that I've made in content, that I've put on Son of Abish, and not one single rupee is wasted because it went to people I was working with.
Yeah.
And I had a great time. 6 months of every year for the last 6-7 years have been incredible. 6 months I'll go to Canada with my family, with their stay, and I'll come back and do stand-up. So this life has been a good life.
Yeah.
So 100% every
and what I really like about what you talked about, Journey of a Joke, because I think I've seen almost everything you put out for Journey of a Joke. And one thing which I like is when you look at the first episodes, lighting is terrible, camera is terrible, sound is terrible.
I've spoken about this itself.
Yes.
I've spoken about this.
Right. But the genuineness of the two people trying to have
think
the
it's just
conversation
that. I think
just
it is
shines
just that.
through.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I personally feel in this day of over-engineered content.
Yeah.
Right?
I highly agree.
It just shines through because I can see one of you is sitting, one of you is standing. In one shot, I'm not kidding. I can see half the camera come out. I'm like, this is clearly guys who are handling camera for the first time. But I don't know. I think it was I think you've done that with Biswa twice with two of his different jokes. So the first one was very raw.
Yeah. It was at, I remember it was at Hive, which was in Bandra. And we had taken one of the rooms. Sudeep Nair had given us like a room to sit. I was like, it had again plants. So, plants is podcast. We in podcast is plants only.
Yeah. And to me, the lesson there is, if you have an idea, you're into it, just start.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is the general north light for everybody watching, and for you and for me, is that you have an idea. It's a seed. You can either eat it, shit it out and forget about it, or you can plant that with intent. It'll go. Somebody else will create that idea. No, because you shit out the idea, somebody has picked it up, it'll happen. That's how ideas are. You're in that time and in that space at that point in time.
Yeah.
What are your opportunities? Don't look at the world, look at what you have. I think that kind of enables you to be in the moment as well.
Yeah.
Like at this point in time, if I'm sitting here, there are 3 cameras, and I just need to be aware that I want to root an idea that gives you something to put. So similarly, if I have an idea, now I would like to do it with people instead of putting it alone. The difference is that I can put it in, but then I have to water it, I have to take care of it, and I have to be passionate about it. I'm passionate about stage. I'm passionate about music. But if that idea is like, it's an interesting, it might get views, might not get views, I've already corrupted the joy. But if I do it with a group of people like, this is an idea, should I just shit it out? Because I'll keep getting ideas. If you get stuck at your next idea, you would never be able to explore your best idea. So that's what I asked. Should I not? Later, perfect. This is a great, let me do it right now.
And that seed might grow up to be a plant on a podcast someday.
Beautifully put. This is Roshan Abbas's effect. I'm sure. He brings so much culture everywhere he comes.
No, but I want to just ask one thing, right? Like you spoke about if you get stuck on your current idea, you will not find your best idea. Now, for all the work which you do, right, and it has now spanned 3-4 genres in terms of stand-up versus a show versus a Journey of a Joke kind of a thing. What is your process? So, is it I have an idea and then I think which format will do most justice to it? Or is it say that I am enamored with this format and now amongst all the ideas, I will pick the idea which chooses the format?
Oh, what an interesting question. Is the idea or the format?
Which is primary for you?
So, weirdly what happens is that if it is in a real world project, when you get an inquiry, right? Someone is interested in doing a show. They've already thought of the idea. They just want you as a host. So when I come on, I'm like, I am more than this. I'll tell you, if you want me, the best way is if I get some bit of push-pull so I can tell you what the show could be, which is so exciting for me that I got you. That don't worry about it, I got you, I believe in the idea. Because even if it's a brand, it's a human being who wrote the idea pitch and thought there is some leg to it. Because it came through an agency and names of companies, then you look at it as a non-human entity. You don't like it. Because your idea should not be better than my idea. That's the core of what I do, right? Or we do. But when that comes in with that perspective, someone has done it, can I talk to that person? Can you tell me what is the idea? What do you want to achieve? If you want to achieve numbers, I might be the wrong collaborator. But if you want to achieve something authentic, I might be a good person fit in this. Let's work on this idea. Let's see where that goes. I think that is what I possibly think that if someone sends me an idea, I would much rather do the opposite, which is if I have an idea, I'll write it down and I will dedicate time to think about it. And that usually happens when I take a head massage. For example,
but okay.
I need to be seated down. I need to be stuck, focused. And I know if I meditate, which I used to do earlier and felt good. So I know I need to feel that peace and calm. And I know I like getting a head massage. So I'll go to the barber near and he knows that I've come to think. So I keep a pen paper and then I'm just sitting. The person's just massaging and then I get to calm that down because I might not be able to do it on my own in my living room. So if I go somewhere, then when I've thought about it, only then will I act. Another analogy I usually give is an idea is like vinegar. Idea is like grape juice. You keep it for long enough, it can become good wine. But if it's too short, it's vinegar. So do I want to put vinegar out or do I want to put wine out? So I get very anxious very quickly with an idea. I want to do it. No. Look at the ROI, look at this will happen. But then if I calm myself down, if I think about it, then my perspective on the idea is that it'll be fun to do this and not that it will work. So I might not be the right person to get you the biggest numbers, but I'll make it a smooth process and authentically will give you my best. That's the only thing I can guarantee. So
That's lovely. One of the things I'm fascinated by as I try to explore this as well with various creators and things that I see is spaces that creators, creative people, or even non-creative folks have some level of creativity in the when, where, and how do they come up with their ideas? Process essentially. And you gave as sharp an answer for that.
I hope so.
Because when you said barbershop, the massage place, right? Like for example, and as a music fan, you might relate to this. RHCP, Red Hot Chili Peppers, when they wanted to record a groundbreaking album, they said, we're not going to do it in the studio. We're going to lock ourselves in Houdini's house where the Beatles dropped acid for the first time. And we are going to cut ourselves away from the world. And we are going to record a masterpiece of an album over here, which they did. And there's a wonderful documentary called Funky Monks that follows them around as they do this, just fooling around. 4 friends. What you said, I just want to make art with friends. You should watch Funky Monks because it's 4 people who genuinely love each other, love the music. They've got one external guy in Rick Rubin saying that boss.
Rick Rubin also there.
Rick Rubin was a producer.
Oh, of course.
And you will resonate with this a lot because I read Rick Rubin's book recently.
Creative Act.
Yes, and there is one lovely line over there. There's a lovely line over there which resonated with something you said, which is the idea is not yours. The idea is out there in the universe. If it's not you, somebody else is going to pick it up. The ideas are like floating around. You just happen to be at the right place, right time to pick up that seed. But anyway, what I was coming back to what I was saying, I really like the specificity with which you said head massage, right? For me, like now that I'm shifted to Pune, there's a certain place on a certain hill that I go to when I just want to get things out of my system, right? That may or may not end up being my final place, but for right now it acts as just like you take a notebook over there, and a lot of the content for the 6% Club, the course that we do, has actually been conceptualized and put together on that hill. Any other spaces you yourself have come across, or the comedians or other collaborators that you have spoken to, or in the wide, it may not even be a comedic entertainer, a comedian, another entertainer, spaces like this that you may have come across in your life?
I guess the first pillar that we spoke about is people. I think the second pillar could be spaces.
Could be space.
Because everyone has different ways of working.
Yeah.
Of course, when you talk about spaces, there's of course the physical spaces. You have also a
mental space,
a vibe that you have created. And what essentially, as a position of power, one thing I can dictatorially demand and create is a vibe. Like there's always music playing around. Because I know it's a music that I like. If somebody wants, can go play. Democratic, but music will always be playing for me. In that vibe, then I'm working on a project. I want everyone to come and just spend the first week watching videos. Sitting, no working, chilling, getting to know each other, seeing each other's likes.
Nice.
If I have, I can do that in 3 days also, but it'll seem regimented. Usually in one sitting only, you already get it. But like you keep a week. So for me, space is time. You can put me in this room, you can put me in any room, but if you give me time, that becomes my space. That's more important. I am more, for me, time is a factor that's always running because I always want to be punctual and I'm always timeless. This is my own shortcoming or a strength, I'm unsure. So for me, if I get time, similarly, if I'm able to create that time in their head, like you've got time, I want you to remove any stress of I need to write a joke and get it. Take your time. The pace will be built up in time.
Yeah.
You cannot start at 100 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
Start slow. We will get to 100 kilometers per hour. Just stick with me, because if you're not at 100 kilometers, I can't be at 100 kilometers, because we are in the same car. So I think as far as space is concerned, you put me anywhere, I think I want to give that mind space of there's time, because at the end of it, in the back of mind, I'm working very hard to make sure that if we are not in 100 kilometers, I am doing everything in my power at my own time to make sure I am running at 100 kilometers per hour, because I don't know any other way of running. Yeah. But like if I'm working with someone, then I get the same faith. Like I'm still lying to them. We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's just start slow. I am projecting, but it might be giving them a sense of space. And I would like that if I was working in a project. I would like to be treated the way I would like to work with people. So if you give me time, I'll give you. Give me any space. Bathroom mein dal do, that's not a place. Like for you, it's that. For me, to think of an idea, driving, getting a head massage, now started doing something very recently, and I keep trying different things. So nothing solid. Is that in the new place, there is a small corner where the windows open, is always nice and breezy. I don't take my phone there. I don't take a notebook there. I will only take coffee there. So it is forcing me to get bored. And that, I think, is the root of all creativity. There are enough podcasts and like neuroscience research, I'm presuming.
Yeah, there is.
I've said neuroscience, of course, it's a podcast now.
So, by the way, we have done, I think you're the 10th interview that we've been doing in Bombay. I think at least 3 people who are not comedians, some of whom are not creators, have talked about the importance of getting bored.
Yes. Honestly, Veritasium has a very good video on YouTube where you can look at how boredom helps. I can tell you how it step by step progresses. For me now, boredom is to remove phone, remove pen and paper, and the ability where I can feel some wind. Just some wind needs to hit me, because that's the only stimulation I want. Visually, you can put me next to a wall, because I am not looking at the wall. I am feeling the stimulation in my body that allows me to separate myself from a crow passing by and then immediately brain going off somewhere. The soft focus. If I'm able to soft focus and just feel the breeze, that enables me to get bored faster. And then when I do get bored, it's just a good space of like good ideas, dreams, ambitions, what I would want, all of that comes in. As soon as an idea comes, I get so excited. And then that excitement turns into a little bit of anxiety, because now I don't have a pen, I don't have a paper, and I'm so used to quickly jotting an idea so I can forget about it. So then I have to stay in that moment, and then a new idea comes. And they're like, oh, I have never heard a second idea because I always acted on the first idea. Then the third idea comes, and then your brain drifts into something or the other, and cut to 30 minutes later, you come back, you remember nothing, but you had the best 30 minutes of your life.
Wow.
Somewhere or the other, it'll help you at night. Somewhere or the other, this thing that you have gotten bored at will come in handy.
So, in a way, I feel a couple of things, right? So, first of all, the thing about running at 100 kilometers an hour, right? It's one of the things which I think I love to think about is, and that's one of the reasons why we are doing 6% Club together, is that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with someone.
Nice.
Right? And even the idea which you want to really convert into fine wine, even if your idea is vinegar, with the right people, you can make a vindaloo. तुम्हारा आइडिया अच्छा नहीं है, बट ये 5 लोग बहुत सही, इनको लाओ, लेट्स मेक अ विंदालू यार. I will get the vinegar, you get the meat, you get the spices, and you sort of.
This is great because every time now he uses either vinegar or has vindaloo, he's going to think of us.
Awesome.
You too, for sure. But yeah, that's actually a good point. 2 points that you mentioned. One is going far, then going fast. This is a personal learning for me. So instead of fast, I need to look at far. And the second one is that even if it's a vinegar idea, it's still an idea. It can be used for something. Yeah, for sure.
For example, 9 seasons of Son of Abish couldn't have happened without an ecosystem, right?
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
you might have probably maxed out in 1 or 2 as a
100%, 1 or 2 episodes, not even seasons. For sure, I wouldn't have been able to do more than 4. I would have done 4 out of self-respect ki minimum 3 plus 1 extra because overachieve karna hai apne ko. Right, and then I would have completely given up. It's just the people who came in and 9 seasons happened. Honestly, it's, yeah.
So for me, the 30 minutes, the best 30 minutes of your life, to me, in this day and age where there is just so much sensorial overload, I feel those 30 minutes are almost like creative recovery. You are letting your brain recover from the overload, right? You are letting the first 5-10 minutes, which is also what they say in meditation, right? To let all the thoughts go past. Don't stop yourself. Just let it go past, and you will arrive at a point when there's nothing to think about. So for me, for a person whose life is built around bringing an idea to life, and the moment you bring an idea to life, there are a whole host of 100 tasks which will get created to bring it, which will take up mind space. To me, this 30 minutes is really creative recovery. At least how I see it right now.
It's like stretching day for an athlete.
For an athlete, yeah.
I mean, of course, I think everyone should get bored.
Yeah.
There is some, it's like when you meditate, there's benefits. When you do yoga, there's benefits to it. If it's recovery, then good to know. But I think it is very uncomfortable. And it's like to push yourself through that discomfort is like what a lot of people do when they do CrossFit. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of like fitness, like even athletes do. It's the same thing. So I don't know if it is relaxing as much as it takes an effort. And it's like the gym. So I know I might not be on the same analogy of like, it's like you feel great when you have gotten bored, because you're right. I'm so stimulated at all points that 10 years ago, if I compare how I was writing jokes to how I'm writing jokes today, I spend so much time organizing jokes than thinking jokes, because I have the ability to drag and drop my ideas.
Exactly.
I did not have that ability when I was writing on pen and paper. I had to physically tear it up. That entire, haptic sensation would enable some memory imprint. So I have started going back to paper because I feel like I don't want so many ideas. I just want one idea that I can be lazy with and just think about that one idea. Let me continue. It's how songwriters write songs. They sit with the melody, sit with the lyrics, each word, the syllable, the note. Then when you get it to an audio engineer, the mixing, reducing the low pass. Everybody is working so hard at making it beautiful. Then I just want to become like that. Right now, I am like, I want to do more. So maybe what I need to reflect is think about the distance, then think about the speed. But currently, this is what I do. I just feel like it's tough to do boredom. Everyone should try to get bored, but it's a privilege.
And boredom currently is hard for us because any sort of recovery which you need to do actually takes effort. Think of the word recovery itself, right? Think of it in the most capitalistic term, is to say you have given loan, person is not paying back. You have to do hard work to recover.
Understood.
Recovery in itself as a word is hard. So unfortunately, it's become harder to do it with the world we live in, right? Because we are now trying to go up from this overstimulated state to a state of almost understimulation in some way. And that is the hard part. Once you are bored, you enjoy that.
Yeah.
That is the difference. It's the process of getting there which is hard, but once you get there, the whole thing is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I that's a good analogy. I'll take it. I'll take it.
If this shows up in a startup, I'm like, bro, I was helping in germinating that idea.
Co-writing.
No, it'll be Chuck who'll go tell the world about. Did you know this amazing moment that happened at this podcast? Was just talking about another podcast, but he just spoke about it. But he came back and it's like this. It happened on this podcast.
Or I would go, or we would go to one level above and shamelessly brag. He had only vinegar. We made the vindaloo.
That's a good one. Yeah.
No, I genuinely don't know.
Okay. I want to. Again, something which you said in one of your interviews very long ago was this question of art and commerce, right? We see it as two ends, and it is definitely some sort of a balance you have to do. And one of the things which you said is, which I quote extensively now, is one for the kitchen, one for the soul. Right? I just want to know, because it was said so long ago.
Yeah.
Has that principle changed, morphed, become more nuanced, or is it now a completely different principle of how you approach your work?
Nuanced, yes, but that still continues. One for the kitchen, one for the soul is a term that I had heard somewhere. I think it's from a book or is a title of a book. I'm not sure, but there was this. I have a faint memory of someone who I respect much older had told me this. So it just immediately when I got that TEDx thing to talk about, I was like, what is it, the one thing that I believe in? And I was like, actually, one for the kitchen, one for the soul. I was working in radio and I wanted to do stand-up. So the radio was the kitchen because of which I got enough time to do soul. Now, Son of Abish became the kitchen so I could do stand-up for a long time. Sorry, stand-up became the kitchen because of tickets that I could use that excess money and put it into soul, Son of Abish. So I still feel I'm still doing kitchen, soul. But life, mental health, your feeling, so many things is such an up and down that I feel if I take a step back, in that up and down, I still have continued. So for today, let's say my kitchen is fulfilled by my hosting capabilities, which I would do for corporates or which I would be able to do by hosting, let's say something like a comic star. And then soul is where I'm doing music or when I'm doing stand-up. But for a second, if you step back, the kitchen itself is so soulful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hosting a comedy show on a big platform with friends around. It's my kitchen. I mean, I pity you guys, but like, I have great lives. That's what I'm trying to say, that take a step back. I didn't create this. I wanted it. It's happening. But sometimes when I look back, I'm like, before that, AIB sketches were part of the soul. It became the kitchen. Then the roast happened, which was the soul. Then that gave us a new kitchen. Kitchen is keep coming. So I think somewhere or the other, that is the nuance I'll add from one for the kitchen, one for the soul. Different analogy, because I'm in a privileged position. Different analogy if you're starting off right now would be, yes, you need to get a job to make sure that your money is coming through.
Yeah.
Find a job slightly relevant to a skill you want to develop. If you want to be a comedy writer, if you want to be a stand-up comedian, only way is you go on open mics. Yes, you can be part of a comedy writing room. That might expedite it. But at the same time, you work in a bottling department, it might come in handy because as a stand-up comedian, you need to tell your story.
Yeah.
So I feel that you still need a kitchen. That still feeds into your soul. But I think soul for me at this point in time would be, let's say, musically finding what my voice is. Comedically, I'm finding my voice. That's my kitchen, but it's a soulful kitchen. Musically, because it's an old passion of mine, I've kept it. I can write what is my sound? You know, if you look at most musicians, they're discovering their sound and songs are happening in that moment, in that time which you're releasing. Look at Foo Fighters. They have developed their sound over the years. Look at Black Eyed Peas. They have developed their sound. You are getting to hear a snapshot of a year, which is called an album. That I would like to give a little bit more time and give more a little more ease for that soul to complete. And right now I'm doing stand-up, which is my kitchen. It's also awesome. So I'd still do it. It's just I am now realizing that my kitchen's pretty banging. It's a good kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm not half bad. Okay, I might be a shit chef, but I'm a great architect. Maybe.
Okay. And we'll supply the vindaloo as we have.
Yeah.
The analogies continue. For food.
Talking of soul, I want to talk about your influences as an artist, right?
Yeah.
You've spoken about Kevin Hart, right? As someone, you love the kind of stuff he does, but you may not necessarily either want to do it or you feel that you are not there in terms of writing, right? But talk to me about inspiration for a show like Son of Abish.
I think comedically inspirations change like underwears for most creative professionals because you always have someone new that what your inspirations are the firsts. So now that I've realized that Robin Williams, I love Robin Williams, especially his Rowan Atkinson's live performances, right? Those are my inspirations because they came in first. Now that I am in this profession, when I look at something, I cannot not call it inspirations just because it is new.
Yeah.
So it's like an ego tassel. So now everything in inspiration, that's why I feel like inspiration change like underwear. Some stay. For Son of Abish, the beauty, why I wanted to do it, wasn't that I wanted to do a talk show. It was because when I saw a talk show on TV, it combined a few things that I really enjoyed, which was there is a live audience, the comedian is talking to the live audience, there is a camera crew capturing and live streaming it. I fell in love with that because I don't want to write something for TV. I want to write something for the live audience, and whoever wants to watch it, watch. That kind of thing was really awesome back in the day when I was in school, where streaming is like, now it's a reality. It's very easy to do that now. But like, that is the thing I wanted to crack. Talk show was a format that came out of it because it served a live audience and there's a reason people want to listen. Now podcasts have taken that space, which is also the same. It's still conversations.
Yeah.
I feel like this will keep changing, but that core still remains. Like right now, the conversation we're having, excellent. You put in a live audience, it'll be unbelievable. That's what I like to do. So whatever I'm doing, if there's a live audience with it, I will shine there better. So I think the origination of the format was give me a live audience, put some cameras around, we'll figure something out.
So now we know who to invite when we eventually take this live.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. If you're doing live, I'll be more than happy to come in. I'll host it for you. I'll do an interview of this, of your course.
Oh.
And you explain what goes on behind making a course. Over the live audience, and we'll do Q&A, and we'll play one small game that establishes what the course is. Nice.
I want capital in life. Let's move on. Because I'm like, this is a great idea. पैसे बहुत लगेंगे, इतने तो है नहीं अभी. तो चलो यार.
अरे 6% लेंगे हम, 6% लेंगे आपका 6%.
I want to also ask you about, one of the things at least I think of is that, in nature, everything is slow, but everything gets done. Eventually, right? And we discussed the thing about, speed and going at 100 kilometers an hour and getting those 30 minutes at some point, right? What I want to understand from you is that, just like nature, there are periods in which no growth happens. Right? Either because conditions are not favorable or because that's the life cycle that person or that plant or that animal is going through, right? For an artist like yourself who has been doing this long enough,
Okay.
are there periods where you feel you are not growing, right? It could be, doesn't matter what the reason is, right? What do you do in those periods? And if you have a way to get out of it?
Oh, I don't know if I can call them phases, but yes, you're right. You're bang on point. I think any creative professional or any employed professional will also have, any human being will have this as well. I'm trying to make it succinct. I think the analogy is if you're having a writer's block, then write more. If you have no time, meditate more. Think that someone told me long time ago, and I've been following that. So there are phases where I am not growing because I'm not giving it attention. So I was going on stage, and an example is I was going on stage doing 10 minutes, 20 minute spots at every comedy club in Bombay because I enjoy going on stage. When Son of Abish was in season, I would not go on stage because I'm getting my fill by doing the Son of Abish audience and the rooms. Then I stopped Son of Abish and I used to go to Canada for a couple of months, stay with my parents. I wouldn't do as much mics there. I just want to spend as much time. And at that time, I had a lot of fun with my family. And I came back, I was very rusted and raw. So I stopped going on stage because I'm like, what is this? None of the jokes are working. Then some project will come. Then I'll get busy doing that project. Then someone else's project is going, I'm going to help that. So I started prioritizing a lot of work that was, I think I'm good at. That's why they asked me to be part of it. But none of them were for me, were for others. And because I missed having the environment of creating Son of Abish, I would chase that at anyone's project. So I'll join anyone's project because I miss this. It's like an addict who's addicted to
People
people
first pillar.
working, creating. So then I will go for something else. Those phases have impacted me also because I stopped growing personally, doing stand-up. I also wasn't working with the thing that I want to create. Those phases have happened a lot in my life over the last decade. No regrets, got to upskill and come back. So if I look at it in that way, in that case, it's as good as going for a 3-month internship or a 3-month course or a workshop that I worked somewhere and came back. It's just rewriting what you have done with a different spin, which is why I don't look at it as a phase as much as this is going to consistently happen. Unless you have a project or you have something that you believe in and you want to spend time on, and you know the distance, not how fast you can create it. If you create enough people around it as an environment, then without realizing you spent 3 years, 4 years, 9 seasons, and you're like, 9 seasons? That's awesome, dude. That show has my name on it.
Yeah.
Though credit roll has so many names on it.
Yeah.
So I think that phase can be fixed immediately by seeking help. Go to this person, go to somebody else and say, I want to learn a new skill. You're a good writer, I'm a good performer. Can we spend 3 days? Let's just sit, keep trying something new. So that's why I've had phases of where I haven't grown and I feel bad. But now when I look back, I'm like, I was growing on something else. Like I wish my guitaring skills were better. I wish I would have picked up the piano much better than I picked it up right now. I wish my Ableton loop setup was so done 2 years ago that by now I knew exactly how to loop live sounds. I wish I bought this. There's so many I wishes, but I'm like, no, dude, you're working as a showrunner on this. You're a creative director on that project. You were working with a friend on a fiction script that you haven't worked at. So I think those phases have impacted. But if I look at it, I'm like, isn't that also good?
Yeah.
I think that's also good where I wasn't fully growing. Having a personal life was great. So I feel every time I've looked at my professional life, I'm like, I want to do more. We are all imposters in this profession. We all don't know what we're doing. We all still want to put ourselves out there like we know what we're doing. We know a little bit. Everybody is doing that. So if you know everyone's pretending, then I'm not going to call you out on your bullshit because you and I are both cosplayers in this whatever this is.
Yeah.
So we are cosplaying as characters. What I'm saying right now is an honest version of what I think, but I'll say it somewhere else. But cosplay analogy might not be different. It might be some other analogy for the audience that comes in.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of pretending. And in that pretense, find other people who are pretending. And then with respect, create something that hopefully becomes something for somebody else to be like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. Half of Journey of a Joke interviews, comedians are like, oh, I saw a comic. And I was like, if they can do it, then I can do it. That's the inspiration story for everybody, is if that person can do it, I can do it. And that's awesome. And I would like to have that. And that skill happens when you collaborate with people.
That is beautiful. The way you spoke about how we are all like characters. We are all cosplaying this life. It's like you said, one for the kitchen, one for the soul. It makes me think like, and it's not a well thought through analogy at all, but one for like LinkedIn public, but one for, I want to almost say like WhatsApp recommendations. And what I mean by that is, so I'm a freelancer, right? Or rather I run a consultancy with my wife Divya, and a lot of our work, we've been blessed that a lot of our work comes through recommendations. And over time I've realized that the best business development that you can do is actually just doing good work, and that leads to other things. So because a lot of the mails that come to us, little flicks or whatever, I suppose, is that X referred me to you and said that you did a good job for them. So there's already some level of expectation setting. Yes, there's some stuff they can put out on LinkedIn saying that, yes, I'll write good website copy for you. But then when something's coming in as a recommendation, I suppose that's something else. And what I want to tie that back with what you said is, and the experiences that you were going through is, yes, if you work in, like if you grow as a comedian, you've tried something, you etc., you've formally done that, you've formally added that to your LinkedIn skills, as it were. But when you act as a showrunner, when you do something else that you wouldn't necessarily put on your LinkedIn profile, it is something that you have left an impact on somebody else. It's I want to say a soft-ish skill that doesn't warrant being put over here. Like reliability is not something I would put on my LinkedIn profile, but weirdly enough, it is the most important thing for a client, because what I have also realized as a solopreneur is that reliable 80% is valued more than 100% unreliable.
Understood.
If you get what I mean. Like
Yeah.
in our profession, it works that way. Maybe in comedy, they want, okay, we are willing to go with the eccentric genius with the chance of the, like, hitting that 100%. What I'm trying to get at with this very, very labored analogy is that there might be some things that you do that you can formally put as a skill, either for yourself in your own head or on your equivalent of a LinkedIn profile, IMDb page, whatever the case may be. And then there are other things that, oh, I didn't know Abish was such a good guy to work with. Hey, you should work with this guy. And that might take you on a different path from the comedy events, the sing space, which you've never considered before. It could be international, it could be another line of business, your own merch, whatever the case may be, which comes across, the connective tissue over there is a soft skill, which you didn't know that you were good at because you did it, right? Like I feel, for example, and the example I always use is when I was in advertising, I worked on a F1 pitch. I'm not an F1 fan, but I worked on that pitch and we didn't win the account. And my servicing guy came up to me and said, it's okay, at least you learned a little bit more about F1. And I'm like, that's interesting. So every activity that you do makes you better at a few ancillary things which you don't know when they're going to be useful to you. Sure, I became marginally a better planner, I suppose, because which is what my job is. But I also learned a little bit about this, a little bit about this, a little bit about this.
Yeah.
It makes me think every time I go to an experience now, right? Suppose I'm coming to an NH7 weekender, like, yeah, I'm getting the experience that I paid for, but also I am, I suppose, learning a little bit more about this, how this operates. And it also is a matter of what you observe. Right. So, yeah, I just wanted to.
It's like an improv thing that I said. Yes, and to any opportunity that comes is a learning opportunity.
It's a learning opportunity, yeah.
But when you're behind and you don't have to be the face of it, it's easier to say yes to a lot of things. But sometimes you're the face. You have
There
to
we
be
go.
the decision
Yeah.
maker.
There we go.
Then
Yeah, actually.
a lot of questions do come in that perspective also. So one is that upskilling thing like you had mentioned. Secondly, is this is good for display. So like you mentioned, one for LinkedIn and one for family WhatsApp.
Family WhatsApp.
If you
better.
keep it in
That's
that
even better.
way,
Yeah.
then you know that one is where you can put
I did the, yeah.
ideation, execution, editing. And the other place, you have to make something, like if I'm putting a funny video on Instagram, I want to create one funny video for my nephew and nieces. And as of today, I've created more funny videos for my nephew, nieces, and my friends' kids than I've put on Instagram in the last 5 years.
Wow.
Which I think is
Lovely.
a good life I've lived.
Yeah.
Son of Abish and everything else that I do as a content project is for people. So that my personal Instagram can continue being what I want to do.
What do you want to do?
What I
That's
would like to do,
beautiful.
where I don't have to, last video was 11 months ago. Honestly, the last video that I have put up or created would have been the last episode of Son of Abish,
Yeah.
which is season 9. Which is a long time. It's been a year. So if you look at it as a content creator, I am not your gold standard by any chance. But if you're looking at, okay, this guy has done a show, what did you do it? Number one is people. Number two is time. If I can secure the people financially, goal-wise, give them a vision, are we on the same idea? Let's build it together. Secondly, give them enough time. Then I just need to prem myself as a host and a comedian, because the rest of it, they'll get to do it. That I think I figured. But as a content yardstick, consistency yardstick, I am by no measure anywhere close to a lot of people that you've spoken to. But that doesn't mean that I'm any lesser than in my eyes as of today, because I'm like, I would invite you to come for Abish on stages after ages. I think after yesterday's show that I did at Habitat and one show before that, and before that was in Kochi, I'm like, okay, wow, okay, awesome. Okay, you're on to something. So I figured that out. So it's not lost time as much as worked on Son of Abish, didn't do stand-up just doing, now I'm building an hour. Now I'll keep Son of Abish in the back burner for some time. Let me give a little bit more attention to this. Maybe this has potential to be something else, but I'm chasing that idea now with Lloyd, for example. Lloyd is my business partner and my close friend, and we were flatmates also for so many years. We've been able to build my career, which is the kitchen part, into a place where, like, what do we want to do with this? You are at a privileged position where some people know you, but look at the amount of people who don't know you. Fame is one. That's a currency.
Yep.
Second for me is skills. Like, can I sing better? Can I be less pitchy? Can my joke verbiage, can it be shorter? Can I write a joke that's deep? Can I make audience feel something? Can I act something without words? Can I do a presentation based? the ambitions of doing different things is what keeps me going, because I don't want to be the best, but I still want to be authentic to myself because I'm truly being unique. Somewhere my narcissism isn't leaned towards being best, it's leaned toward being different. And that's coming in from, again, someone told me, because I've been doing so much stage for a long time, saying that if you're truly yourself, you will be truly unique. I still don't know, but I know someone said that. So I'm trying to find authenticity in what I do. And that's why I am my worst and the best critic, which becomes its own issue. But then therapy and like good friends and this ecosystem really makes you feel awesome. You take that ecosystem away, I go into post Son of Abish depression. It's like postpartum depression. I have so much fun shooting the episodes. Then there's a certain bit of time when we're editing and then we release. My most fun time is the writing room, is the shoot day. Don't care about the release. I will watch that in Canada with my parents when it's released. That I enjoy. Because I love to see my parents watch me on screen, laugh at something that the guest said, and then they're proud of. These three things is what I did for the last 5, 6, 7 years with Son of Abish. We'll write with my friends, we'll shoot with my friends, but I'll watch it with my family. So I think like, step back, that's awesome. I want to try to do the same thing with live. But I want to get my parents and my family to come, watch something, feel something more. And hopefully by next time that we meet also, and the year after that, I'm doing something new. And then after that, yes, I'm doing something new. And I think that confidence has come because I did the same thing again and again for 9 seasons. And I think the pillar is people. So I'm like, okay, great. I have figured how to do everything now in life, whether it's business, whether it's this, because I don't have to do it. We have to do it.
Right.
I just have to, come on, I believe in you. Inside, I'm like, I have to do it. I don't have to do it. They're like, Abish, pink or fuchsia? Fuchsia. Why? Because it sounds good. Someone told me fuchsia is a good color, so I'll go with fuchsia. So I'll always recommend it for entrepreneurs, for yourself also, for these guys as well. It's if you figured the people you want to do this with, then you can do anything. Like my brain cannot fathom this simple logical flaw is that I don't know, you know it better, I'll depend on your decision on it. And if it's a bad one, we'll do it again and we'll figure it then. But too much pressure on that one project, it's that you'll have a lot of fun making that and you're relying too much on it working. I'm saying you circumvent that by like what you said, consistency. Yeah. And I will do it with friends. But when it comes to being alone, I like to be in my spaceship. And I would like to do nothing or waste time, play some instruments without the pressure of showing it to public. But if I want to show it to public, I want some people around, like some friends to be like, your voice cracked. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't have anything to ask. I'm just so thankful, Abish, that you took this time to come and speak with us because I feel some of the things you have touched upon are very, very unique. I think they're very you, but they have the applicability to anyone, no matter what part of a content journey or even a personal discovery.
Meta lessons,
or personal discovery journey they're on. So I'm just grateful that you took this time for us. Thank you so much.
One thing that makes me very excited is, so here's the thing, right? We are in a weird position where we run a course which is based on the experience or expertise that we have. But this entire thing that we are doing in many ways is a fresh content project for us.
We have never done YouTube video.
We had never done something, and we tell our members that this is kind of like a learning process for us. There's something that will go right, some things that will go wrong, and we will tell you these things so that you can hopefully avoid them. And for us, this is as much an experiment of or a validation of our own theories. And what makes me excited for you is that in many ways you're kind of living this journey yourself. You've seen actualized to a certain extent, but you are also hungry for more. And it makes me very excited as a fan of yours to see what comes later, but also because we are in that space about thinking about content and all. So many of the things that you say, it's the kind of like the same questions we get from our own cohort members. Like, we've done this, we've done this, we've done this, now we're trying to do this. Of course, you have a lot going on before that, and you, of course, like you said many times, come from a certain level of privilege, etc., where you've already achieved so and so. But it's amazing that these same few things, they just kind of keep evolving. And as long as that hunger is there, just keep having fun with friends, like you said, for that dream day that you have, which I think is already there. And writing with friends, the shoot, and then watching
with
it, family half a world away. I think it's great life, and
Yeah, but
just wish you more of that. And
thank you.
more
And
of that.
thank you so much for asking me to come on to the show as well. As a matter of fact, if you are telling people how to, if you have a course which is telling people on creativity and productivity and discipline and put it through, best way to do is to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it, and each episode, if you're collecting your thoughts, I mean, as a matter of fact, as soon as this episode gets done, if you can take 5 minutes and discuss what you learned from the episode, I think is a good clip that can go to your subscribers.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is what we picked up, because that's what you're doing. You're just not doing it on camera, you're doing it while having tea.
Yeah.
So might as well just officialize that and also put it in such a great, endearing way to see. Like you said, I've never been on screen. You said you've not been on screen. So I'm like, this is nice to see people putting themselves out there and also showing, this is what I learned.
Yeah.
Okay, next time maybe I should keep the mic a little closer. Maybe if I'm talking like this, the mic cannot catch it. Maybe I should be a little cognizant of that, so that the sound engineer doesn't have to keep changing the sound on the edit. So maintaining a little bit of a distance, not slouching, maybe, sitting up straight, maybe using fuchsia colors to wear if it goes with your color. You know what I mean? These are things that you get with experience, such as mine, which is so vast. I mean, in this podcast, I just felt like I'm more than what I thought I would be. You have been two lovely angels who have sat beside me, given me the confidence to what I want. I shall run for American presidency next.
And you answered the most important question, which is to be or not to be.
To be or not to be. That is the question.
That's a question.
And you should always not be. Because if you look at time, your be is only this much. Mostly you will be not be. So.
Yeah. And given the fact that all the folks from Nike who are watching, which is zero, Abish espouses just do it, but he's wearing Adidas shoes and you need to change that. So please sponsor
Absolutely.
Abish Mathew.
Can I just tell you something? This is honestly, I moved into a new house, so I don't have my good shoe.
Oh.
So I'm wearing my wife's shoe, and she told me today that I have never allowed anyone to wear my shoe, and I have expanded the shoe from inside, and it was a learning moment for us. And I can feel that my feet were tight, now have become loose. So she won't be able to wear this anymore. So I just want to say thank you very much for giving me your shoes for the podcast recording. Otherwise, I would have been wearing black yuck shoes. But yeah, thank you. And I'll buy you one soon.
I was going to say, I wish you at some point of time that you visit the ISS.
Oh,
But
I would love to. I would love to spend some time there.
yeah, but I feel like after this confession, you might need to expedite that. But Abish, seriously, thank you so much. When we were putting down a guest list for this, we wanted to very specifically pick out people for this. And again, I could have, just like you said, you have access, right? I also worked at OML, know a bunch of people from the scene and all that, making a fool of myself at open mics and all that sort of thing. Both of us unanimously specifically wanted to speak to you because we just wanted to find the way your brain works in many ways.
Oh, lovely. Can I just then end with one thing?
Yes, please.
Well, this is my latest quirk, which has now been running since 2020, and I'm very proud of. It's called quarter paper technique. Okay, my God. Hold on. Switching it. It's not either. Yep.
I don't even know what that means. So I'm going to definitely learn something new today.
This is bonus content for later. So I'm a big fan of processes. It just makes me feel like I'm on my spaceship, and this is my equivalent on Delusion, a pad, like a space pad. Okay, this is my quarter paper technique. I take all printed papers.
Okay.
Like there are a lot of, like, for visa forms, there's so much paper.
Yeah,
that gets
wasted stuff, yeah.
And I feel if I write anything on a notebook, it feels too much pressure.
Sure. Okay.
So This is the most advanced concept of it. I take a A4 size sheet, which has something on it,
Right.
and I will fold it up four times, so that the area I need to focus on is only very small. So let's say now it's of course a little advanced. What I started doing is that I will take this quarter paper. This is my rough notebook. I'll just write my date and whatever happened or whatever. Like I'll tell you, we were discussing on the 27th of June 2024. Whereas like what are the show dates? Okay, 7th I'm doing Mukti Manch, 13 Habitat, 20th KCC, 28th J Spot, 24th Molavage dash. Then some for brand stuff. We were like, okay, I need a hook line. Okay, I need 4 to 5 creators to come on stage. Okay, it needs to be supported by LED. Just when I'm on a call to pay attention, I am writing down points because otherwise my brain will wander around. So why I do it as quarter paper is because quarter paper, I can write whatever I want. But if it goes more to the other side, I need to make sure that I finished this before it goes to the other side. So it gives me an internal pressure to like, you have to finish it. Then it goes here because it's portable and you always have to only look at this. Now it's advanced to a place where the quarter paper now has a back, which is, I went to Mirchi and Maimun Pawai and they had given me this, I think, sign language.
Help to navigate how the menu and stuff.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. So I just use that as a back and sometimes I look at it. So I fold it up like this. This is now everything I am thinking of right now, which is AMSM, which is personal life. Let's say org-opt, which is like organize or optimize stuff. Just random stuff such as I need to get vocal classes when I need to happen. Edit the things I need to edit. Write the things I need to write. FU means follow up with people.
Good to know.
Then random thoughts here. Now, this is at all points in my thing so that if I have to ever have like what all do I need to think of? Nothing to achieve, not a task. Just the things I need to think of without any pressure. I'm like, oh, these are the things I'm working on. But how it goes crazy is that now I have taken this half, then I've written rough notebook. Now it got to the other side. Oh, it's also full. Then I turn it around. There are more, and I make this my rough notebook. So now I carry around my quarter paper like this, which is, are you ready? It's like a notebook. And I open it, I know what I need to do. And here at any point in time, I'm just writing down any thoughts that come. And I will write it in this because I have to. Why? Because if it's a notebook, then I will not read everything. In this, there's only one leaf I'm working on.
Yeah.
So I have to think, process, do something, because if it's on the sheet, it's important to me. And if I have to rewrite it on the other side, then if it's not important, it gets crossed.
out.
So these way, I feel like this is like, oh my God, I have some clarity, some control in my life. But this I really enjoy because it's crazy and no one should do this. I can afford a notebook, okay? I just feel something about reused paper. You can do whatever with it. Like you don't care because this is fleeting thoughts.
That might be 10 million views right there.
Nothing matters. None of your ideas matter.
They do. Abish,
Nothing matters.
3 million views right there. We were responsible.
It's liberating.
Yeah,
it's going.
लड़का हाथ से निकल गया.
It's gone. No,
Abish,
except the master sheet. Because the master sheet right now I don't know. Nothing. I don't know what I wrote. Must be something important. Who cares? Except for your master sheet quarter paper.
That matters.
Is on this.
I
hope there were no jokes in that. But
we do too, but we'll collect it and we'll make it a jigsaw and we'll make it part of the merch of the show.
No, not the merch of the show. We will keep it 20 years later. We will sell it for a fortune.
We will sell it for a fortune. We'll frame it.
Wow.
We'll frame it and
We'll
we'll put it
go
over
far.
here.
Don't go fast.
We'll go fast. There we go. If you ever write a productivity book in your life, I hope you call it Journey of a Joker. Thank you so much, Abish, for
thank you so much, man.
everything. This is great.
Very fun.
One final time.
Yes. Subscribe.